Hey, viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist, and welcome back to Syria Being Hunted. I've got a guest this time. It's Ulcer Boy. How you doing over there, Ulcer Boy?
I've got an ulcer, but apparently I can't talk properly.
He's got a
Is
little
that
ulcer in his
No,
mouth.
yeah, it's annoying when that happens.
It is indeed.
Ulcers wouldn't he? Well, still, I'd rather have a mouth than a stomach ulcer.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
true.
Stomach ulcers, go to hospital for them.
You see, that little pause you put there before you said ulcer was like, I'd rather have a mouth than a stomach.
I'd rather have a mouth yeah, I'd rather have a mouth than a stomach, but you need both of those things to digest food.
You do indeed, Phil.
Yeah, unless there's some other way you could get food into your body, just shove it down your ear.
Ears.
Well, actually, no, your nose and your mouth are connected, so you could technically put something up your nose and go,
It would be very uncomfortable, but
yeah,
yes.
it would be very uncomfortable.
You'd have to sort of try and liquidise your then he said you. There, try
Liquidise
again.
your future. That's it.
Liquidise my
Liquidate your
future.
assets. Liquidate all your assets.
Yes, that's
into
Phil's
one
advice.
monthly payment. Yeah,
Whoop. Watch out for the
that's
sea
it.
beast.
Make them all into one monthly. Oh god, it's those bloody handbags. Liquidise all your assets into one monthly payment with us. No, thank you.
Consolidate
I'd rather
your
not.
savings.
That's it. No, thank you. I would rather not.
No.
Um,
Equity
so,
release.
poor old Andrew's started the new term at his university, and work is getting piled high.
Yes, it is indeed. It's
Soon you won't
especially
be able to see the ceiling of your apartment.
no, it's piled high. It's all over the place. I think it's just exacerbated by the fact that obviously, as I've sort of mentioned a couple of times in Sir, that obviously I'm a director for one of the courses, and there's a lot of like new course design going on at the moment on it. So yeah, it's just a matter of ironing out all sort of the last minute kinks and things like that to try and make sure everything is as ready as it
In
will
the old
be.
international relations. One international relation I think we should all is how can we get North and South Korea to get along?
Yes,
What can
and
we
that's what we're
do?
going to be solving in today's
Yeah.
Being Hunted episode.
How are we going to get them? Kim
Yes.
Jong Un and who the bloody hell is the president of South
It's
Korea?
Yoon Suk Yeol, who
Yoon
is
Suk-
the
They need
president
to
of
get
South
together, have a party, have a little dance in a nightclub, and everything will be fine.
Korea. That's
Imagine that. Oh God, imagine them dancing together in a
a
nightclub.
dance off. There we are. Oh dear, yes.
Uh, But I think now I've sent you a message about because I think it's time we did a bit of a historical, but also current, because we've been mentioning this a few times.
Yes.
Obviously, a number of episodes ago, quite a number of episodes ago, we went through British prime ministers and US presidents, of course. And I think we mentioned at that time, oh, maybe in the future we should try British kings and queens. So
Yes.
that's what this episode's going to be about. We're going to see of the British kings and queens that we can remember. So no googling or anything like that.
No.
But we're not going to do it in the style to before, like go backwards. Just you can just pick a point in time
Yeah.
and go for a king or queen that you can remember.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
I could.
we've got a checkered past. We
Yeah.
have got a checkered past with kings and queens, unfortunately. Some have been lovely and amazing and fantastic and wonderful, and others have been,
Pile of
let's just say,
shite.
big time.
Yes.
Big time. So do you want to start us off with a king or queen
Yeah.
that you want to?
I mean,
Just-
obviously, if we were sort of going backwards, I probably wouldn't actually be able to go that far anyway, because I
Yeah,
probably
it doesn't matter. You can just pick out from around.
Yeah.
We're not doing like we did with the prime ministers and presidents. Just
Yeah.
pick one.
Yeah.
You can
I mean,
from a time period.
might as well start at the very beginning then, with the first like true sort of king of England would have been Alfred the Great, going back to sort of like the 10th century or whenever it was.
Oh,
he was alive.
wow!
Yeah.
You are
Anglo-Saxon
pushing
and all that.
pushing the time machine very far back.
We are indeed, yes. Not that I actually really know all that much about him.
No, was he a Viking?
No, he's like
Or was it
Anglo-Saxon. I
Anglo-Saxon,
think.
so
Yeah.
that's when they first start to develop in the. Yeah, I don't know much about him, to be honest.
I mean, the thing is, like, if you look at any sort of list of British or like English kings and queens, usually it tends to start around about with him, because I think he's like one of the earliest ones who technically would be sort of king of what you would sort of call a slightly more unified, or at least a fairly large England, something
Yeah.
like that.
They're all very modest, aren't they? You just have
Yes.
to call yourself the Great.
The
But
Great.
that happened with Alexander the Great as well.
Everyone's
like-
the Great.
Yeah, you just have to call yourself the Great
Indeed.
because you don't want to be modest. Yeah, I must admit, I don't know much about Alfred the Great.
No.
Um,
But I thought he was just worth mentioning since,
no,
he's a big historical
fantastic,
one. Yeah. But then, like, immediately after him, you have, like, lots of, like, Anglo-Saxon kings who are, like, really obscure. So, like, I think there's, like, ones like Athelstan, people like that. Obviously, you then get to, like, 1066, and you had Harold Godwinson, people like that. Yeah.
Harold Godwinson, he was interesting, but there was a bit of an incident that happened there, and it sort of we sort of had to deal with having a French king.
Yes.
Because what happened? Because he's like Harold Hardrada, and there was also
he was a Viking.
Yeah, but the Battle of Hastings, which was fought in 1066. And unfortunately, the William of Normandy managed to kill. Who was it?
Godwinson.
No, it was the Battle of Hastings. It wasn't. It wasn't Godwinson.
Yeah, it was. It was Harold Godwinson. Yeah, it wasn't Harold Hardrada. Hardrada was a Viking dude who wasn't related to this at all. Yeah, it's Godwinson, the guy I literally just mentioned. Yeah, Google it. It is him. Yeah. Yeah, he's the one, remember, with the famous story that may not be true, took the arrow to the eye and all that?
Yeah. Godwinson, I was getting confused with his last name. Not with Hardrada, but another one. Another H, but I think I can't. But yeah, he obviously got the... and then William of Normandy took over.
Yeah. There was a Viking, though, who was involved with the invasions around 1066 called Tostig. So there were Vikings around at the time.
There were Vikings around, yeah. But so that's why some of the English language does have some French phrases put in, cul-de-sac, cafe, things like that, because... and it was funny that because we actually had to speak French for about 300 years, it was. So it was French when we had William Normandy, and that's when he came in.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more like the upper classes that probably spoke French. I'd imagine a lot of peasants probably just in secret kept on using Old English or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose you have that, don't you?
Yeah. Indeed.
I do know another one that was famous for sort of establishing a set of laws that nobody was above the law. Police officers, whatever, and that was King John, who, of course, created and signed the Magna Carta in the year 1215.
I mean, Magna Carta, was basically essentially establishing, well, it was after basically a series of civil wars, and basically King John was forced more or less to give a little bit of power over to his feudal barons, things like that, effectively making, meaning that basically the king or the monarch is not entirely above
the law,
Indeed.
And he signed that, King John, that was in 1215. So that's quite a while. That's quite a while ago. That
it is indeed.
Good old King John.
Well, not good old. By all accounts, not a very good king.
No.
Yes.
No, he wasn't at all.
No.
There was a film, wasn't there?
Oh,
about King John.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I remember actually there's a film with Russell Crowe as basically Robin Hood, but it's about kind of King John and just King John being an all-round pretty weak and despotic ruler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get... now I'm going to talk about Queen now.
Queen?
Because I'm the Queen. And this Queen had quite a bit of a feud with another one who was basically her sister, I believe, Elizabeth I.
Oh, yes.
With Mary Queen of Scots.
Yes.
They were not fans of one another.
Just to check, was Mary the First and Mary Queen, were they the same person? I can't remember because there's a lot of Marys.
No, I think Mary Queen of Scots was different.
Yeah.
But she got killed, didn't she, by Elizabeth I? I believe.
Yes, Mary Queen of Scots did.
Yeah.
But was Mary Queen of Scots Elizabeth's sister? Because Mary the First was. Because obviously they were both daughters of Henry VIII.
Henry VIII, of course. Who we'll get to in a minute. We'll get to in a minute. He's one of the most notoriously bad ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, Elizabeth I was... the funny thing was, there was a period of time where everyone thought having really ridiculously pale skin was good.
Yeah.
Everyone was, because she had it. Elizabeth I had really pale skin, and so everyone wanted to match her because she's the queen. And I think it was the one where people started messing around with like hemlock and nightshade and all that, which they thought, oh, makes you look pretty and lovely, when actually it's deadly poison.
Yeah, messed around with a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, but they had a big feud. Elizabeth I and Mary Queen of Scots. Oh dear, dear.
Yeah.
I think she beheaded her, didn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
Mary Queen of
Yeah.
Scots, yeah. And then I think, if I remember, she wasn't the most loveliest of queens, Elizabeth I. I think she had a bit of a cruel disposition.
Cruel, yeah. Cruel if you were a Catholic, I do believe.
Yeah,
because obviously that was like the time of... Well, because obviously Henry VIII had started off the whole English Reformation.
Oh, why don't we
split
talk
from the
about
Catholics? Yeah, let's go on.
one of our worst kings.
Yes.
Oh dear, Henry VIII. Henry VIII. Yes, a king who is very notorious and probably one of the most famous kings in British history, and also one of the worst.
Indeed.
Very well liked person.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we could talk about the fact, there was all the thing with his wives, which obviously everyone usually knows. But, he was definitely...
Divorced, beheaded, survived. Divorced, beheaded, died.
Yes.
So,
No, it was divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived.
Survived. Yeah, sorry, yeah, it survived.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 6 wives, and the reason is because he wanted a son, and he was never getting one.
He wasn't until he got Edward. But yeah.
And the funny thing was, he's always shown as this picture as like really, really fat.
Yeah.
But when he was younger, he was actually into his sports.
Yeah.
And he was very sort of, he was very sort of lean and
Handsome.
But he had an accident. I think he had an accident with his horse, was it?
I think he was like thrown off a horse, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Something
and
like
it broke
that.
broke his leg.
Yeah.
And then and obviously he had, oh my God, he had gigantic feasts all the time. Gigantic feast. So no wonder he was putting on loads of weight.
Yeah.
And he was, that's why he became really, really fat. Wasn't he also famous for wearing a codpiece?
Well, I mean, a lot of people wore cod pieces because it was basically just like medieval underwear, essentially. But yeah, everyone pretty much did. But yeah, no, Henry VIII, obviously, like I say, also started the English Reformation, so the split from the Catholic Church and from the Pope and the Vatican, which of course caused a lot of tension.
Yeah, it was funny because he was like, he wanted to form a Catholic government, but they're all Protestant, weren't they?
And no, it was essentially because the Catholic Church for a long time had a lot of sway in politics in England, but he wanted to obviously divorce wife number one, but technically couldn't. So it basically became a pretense to switch to Church of England, aka Anglicanism, more kind of a Protestant style of religion.
Yeah, but he created his own, didn't he? Because like, I'm not having
Church
this.
of England, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not having this. I'll do what I want. I'm the fucking king.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And he didn't get a lot of likes for that.
No, he didn't get a lot of likes.
If he made it to YouTube video, can you imagine? Hello, viewers and vieweresses. Welcome today. I, Henry VIII, I'm going to make my own religion.
Henry VIII vlogs. Today I split from the Catholic Church.
Oh dear, bloody here we are again. Anne Boleyn. Oh, she's pissing me right off. She's pissing me straight off.
Might have to behead her later.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yes. Indeed.
With his face.
Go ahead and find food.
Find food. Quick. Get smitten.
Some fruit cake.
What about our king, who we discovered in a good old Leicester car park?
Oh yes, that guy.
Richard III.
Richard III. That's him. Yeah.
Another
indeed.
one. It was he was Shakespeare. Sort of made him out to be this old, decrepit, hungover, with a horrible curved spine.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't that at all.
No.
And he was blamed for locking
Princes in the Tower and all that.
Yeah, the Tower and all that. When it probably wasn't, but yeah, he was. And of course, he died in a battle, the Battle of Bosworth Field, and that was about the year 1485.
Yeah. And Henry Tudor took over and became Henry VII.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And then he was killed in that battlefield, and then they paved it over and thought, oh, this is a nice car park we've got here in Leicester.
Yeah. Henry VII actually is a king who I feel like in school you don't learn that much about him, but the BBC History magazine that I subscribe to at the moment, I get copies of it every month.
Yeah.
Sometimes has articles on Henry VII, and his life was pretty crazy because right throughout his youth, he often had to basically flee to France to avoid persecution by essentially, Richard III's family and all that. So yeah, he had quite the tumultuous early life,
Oh
and
dear.
by all accounts, he was a very paranoid king, which is understandable because he had a
Yeah.
lot of political enemies. But he eventually took the throne and survived. So he won.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him.
No, he won in the end. So indeed, he's an interesting one as well.
Isn't he? Yeah. I believe there was also. I think it was Charles the First. Was the one of the early Charles, I think it was. I think he had a weird sort of mental issue where he thought he was made out of glass.
Oh, was it? Yeah, was it one of the Charles? I can't remember.
I think it was Charles the First.
I've heard there was. Yeah, there was a monarch.
He thought he was made out of glass, so he didn't want anyone to touch him or anyone because he had this horrible feeling he was going to fall over and smash.
Yeah, indeed. Because one of the Georges around about the time of the Napoleonic Wars was also apparently just mental off his rocker, and so they had the Prince Regent and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the famous George that had to deal with the Americans rebelling in the American Revolution. Yeah. I think that might have been George III, that.
Yeah, I was thinking it was George III. Yeah.
And obviously trying to keep hold of America, but no, that didn't work out well.
No, it didn't.
Because they rose up and the Americans took over and kicked the British out.
Yes.
And I think George III had to basically sign a deal saying, we will stop owning you.
Stop owning you.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it was worded.
We will stop owning you now. Any questions?
Yes.
Tick yes or no.
Tick yes or no. Multiple choice answer. Please fill it out in triplicate and submit it back to the local bureaucracy.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose we should talk about one of the most famous queens and one of the queens that was one of the most absolutely amazing queens we've ever had, Queen Victoria.
Yes,
of course.
Historically significant.
Very historic. And everyone, myth busted time for you. She did not say one is not amused.
Yeah,
it's not a thing. Or of the we are very much amused. I think that came from some sort of writing that was found, but it wasn't actually attributed to her. Or they made it so it was attributed to her, but she didn't actually say that. But yeah, she was a very, very nice queen. And obviously there was a whole age named after her.
Indeed. An age of advancement and scientific progress.
Famous for wearing big, black, flowery dresses.
Aye.
Was Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was a much loved queen.
She was indeed.
And she brought a lot of things, because she was at the time when the Industrial Revolution was in full swing.
Yeah. So she presided basically over a huge period that saw not only technological and scientific advancement, also just the flourishing basically of the British Empire, things like that. So she's quite historically significant then in that regard.
Yeah, and she also had a horrible tragedy because Prince Albert died. I can't remember what he died of, but I think it was disease related.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely devastated.
She was.
She basically sort of retreated into a shell after what happened. But and she reigned for a long time.
Yeah.
As well.
Because wasn't it until Queen Elizabeth II, she was Victoria,
the
was
longest
the
reigning monarch.
Yeah. Then
I think she was 60 years on the throne.
Yeah,
with
she
Queen
was
Victoria
for quite a long time, because she died in 1901. Victoria. I'm trying to remember when was her coronation? So like sometime in the 1830s or 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I should know the exact year there. It's not
And
coming to me.
just so you know, guys, if you're going, oh, I would love it if there was a video game with Queen Victoria in it. Assassin's Creed Syndicate has it. If you want to see her. That was about the only game I've ever known of where you can see her in there.
Yeah.
And because, of course, as with Assassin's Creed games, it's the sort of thing that the main characters have to meet every historical person that's significant of that time period. They eventually do meet up with Queen Victoria in one of her garden parties, which is really funny.
Indeed.
What about, well, this is really recent, but our longest reigning monarch was Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah,
And yeah, wow.
I know.
She lived for a very long time.
She
I
did.
still remember the news when they said she died. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I couldn't believe it, because I think I believe I was in the car at the time and I had the radio on, and they were saying they were in hospital. I think I was going to the gym, and on the way they were talking about saying, "Oh no, she's not looking good. She's really unwell. She's really saying it's like, oh God, oh, hopefully the hospital treats her." So I did a gym session, and I came out of the gym, and I turned it on, and they said, "Yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? It's awful what's happened." I thought, "Oh God, is she still is she still really quite ill?" And they said, "Breaking news, she's passed away."
Yeah.
Like, what? My God.
Indeed. Phil was
I couldn't believe
inconsolable.
Yeah, I thought I was honestly in another universe. Like, what? Really?
I know.
But yeah, that was quite tragic, because she was, oh my God, she beat Queen Victoria as the longest on the throne,
Yeah.
and she was a fantastic queen.
She was very popular, yes. She was interesting, Queen Elizabeth II, because obviously, like, members of the royal family around her always had like little controversies and things they were getting up to, but she always just sort of felt like she was just kind of above all that. She was very good at kind of maintaining her image, to put it that way.
Also, she provided a massive help in World War II, because she actually had experience as a mechanic.
She was,
Yeah.
ambulance driver, capable of fixing them, yeah. That was very much, I think, the dawn of the era of monarchs having to be more sort of media conscious.
Yeah.
And having to really
Now
think about
our current king,
Charlie.
Charles. Yeah, he has to keep that in mind as well.
Indeed.
'Cause
Charlie III.
he's our current king at the moment, and he's been not doing anything crazy or untoward.
As far as we can tell, yeah.
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 Got to
funny
keep,
though.
well, because back in period they didn't really have to worry too much about media, and
No, they
it was
didn't.
much difficult to be outed as something or seen doing something wrong. Now, oh, a tiny little bit of your toenail goes out of line. Oh, that's
Yeah.
it. The shitstorm is kicked up.
Aye. Yeah.
One of the advantages, I suppose, with living in like the 16 or 1700s.
Yeah.
I can't think of many kings and queens in like the 1700s.
1700s. I mean, obviously, it's Charles
1600.
I, Charles II.
John first, yeah.
There's also, actually, if we're in the 17th century, there was obviously 1688, I think it was, the Glorious Revolution, when one of the Jameses, which one was it?
Oh God, one of the Jameses, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
was
God,
overthrown, and he was replaced by William III, who was actually a Dutch stadtholder who had been
Yeah.
invited over
William
to
III.
usurp the throne by a load of parliamentarians, because the James at the time, well, obviously he was a Catholic, and it was still very much that period of kind of Protestantism versus Catholicism and all that political intrigue surrounding it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, we had a Dutch king at one point.
we did. Yes, now
Yeah.
that seems. What about me? When can I become king?
When are you going to become king?
Yeah.
Don't you know? Charles is very much signing the papers at the moment to make you the next in line to the throne.
Yes, get in,
Indeed.
fine.
Yes. Just be warned, William is going to be after your blood as a result.
Also, I'm
you
going
know.
to be killed in a battle.
Yes. You're going to have to start buying your armour and your medieval weapons
buying
right
them.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to have to get you. Do you want a spear or a sword?
Yeah, we've had some crazy kings and queens in the past. I can't think really much.
I can think of the
else.
odd one else. There's like Queen Anne at the start of the 18th
Oh,
century.
Queen Anne. Yeah.
Who was
Like that.
another one actually who I don't know a huge amount about. I think history sort of has a bit of a mixed kind of opinion of her. Like some people said, some historians thought she was kind of unremarkable as a queen, but others said that actually she kind of had to be a little bit, because it wasn't kind of because she was kind of leader at the time of things like the War of Spanish Succession, things like that. So
Yeah.
in certain respects, maybe she has been a bit harshly treated by history. I don't know. I'd have to read up a bit more on her, that kind of thing. But there's various other ones who one can name at various times. But there's just so many of them.
We've gone through so many. Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed, indeed. And
They've all
obviously, we haven't actually really talked about any 20th century monarchs either in the UK. Obviously, which one was it? Was it Edward the Seventh who wanted to marry the American divorcee?
No, that was Edward the Eighth.
Eighth, that was the
Yeah,
one.
I
There
remember
you
because
go.
I remember seeing a documentary about it. Yeah, how could I forget that? Oh God,
Yeah,
oh my God, the controversy around that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wallace
they didn't like
Simpson.
that. Yeah, that he wanted to marry a American woman.
Yeah.
But why ever go? I mean, Prince Harry's done that.
Well, I mean,
Meghan
this
Markle.
was friggin' decades ago. It's a different time and all that.
Yeah, it's that sort of period
I
where
think it wasn't just the fact she was American, it was also the fact she was a divorcee, which I think is just like one of those taboo things back in the past where it's like,
yeah,
oh no, a prince can't be, or a monarch can't be marrying someone who's had a divorced marriage and all that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So he gave
abdicated.
up the throne. Yeah, because it just they just weren't. What about the one oh God, who was it who had the obviously the fantastic film The King's Speech?
Oh, that was, yeah, Edward VIII's successor, the one who basically abdicated the throne in favour of one of the Georges, was it? Um,
Yeah, that was it.
yeah,
Was it George the Second or
basically
something like that?
yeah, basically the
Yeah,
father of Queen Elizabeth II,
that's it. Yeah,
him,
that's it. Yeah,
played by Colin Firth. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, that was a fantastic film.
it was a
Yeah,
good film. Yeah,
and it was based on the truth because he did have a horrendous speech
stutter.
impediment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had to
and
overcome.
couldn't because he couldn't do speeches. But it's quite because I've seen the have you seen the film?
I have seen the film. Yeah,
Yeah, it's quite nice towards the end where because he's obviously got to make that big speech because
yeah,
obviously he's having to announce that entering World War Two.
yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
so and he finally overcame it and did it. Well, he had his speech therapist there,
Yeah.
uh,
Aye.
but just goes to show you how difficult it can be to when you've got a stutter like that
Yeah.
or have problems with speech. It can be awful
Yeah.
just to try and
I'm trying to remember. I'm sure he was one of the Georges, but I just can't
yeah.
remember which
I don't know,
number.
George the Second.
No, not George II. That's way too early because we just talked about George III before. Um, was it like George V? Was he George V or
Oh, oh yes,
yeah?
yeah. It could
Because
be
George
George
III
V.
was around about the time of the American Revolution, which was way
Yeah, yeah.
before. Yeah.
That's what we talked about before. Yeah,
Yeah.
George the Fifth. I think you got it spot on there.
Yeah. I think. I'd have to check though, 'cause I can't quite remember exactly. But yeah, that was him right there.
I believe that Colin Firth did such a good job. I think it actually made Queen Elizabeth II cry.
Was that the story? Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously it's her dad,
Yes.
and she cried because it thought it was so realistic,
Yeah.
which is that shows you've done a good job.
Funny thing was though, when I watched the movie, the kid actress who plays basically child Elizabeth II uh, is the same kid actress who was in a BBC sitcom called Outnumbered. And whenever she came on scene in The King's Speech, I just kept thinking of that character. That sort of
Oh God, Outnumbered is so funny, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
indeed.
with it because she's always like annoying her parents by asking stupid questions
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Aye. Yeah.
Um, yeah, when films do that, it's really quite good. Like one I've told you before, Saving Private Ryan,
Oh yeah.
was apparently so realistic that the veterans who lived through that experience of the storming of Normandy they were in tears
Yeah.
because they said, "Oh my God, this is ridiculously realistic."
It brought back the flashbacks, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? That's not a laughing experience there, Andrew. Bloody hell.
I know. Gosh, I'm going to have to get
That's some
cancelled
bloody
now,
tact.
aren't I? My God, Red laughing at World War II veterans. Cancel him immediately.
Yeah, that's it. You're going to be on one of those YouTube channels that there's YouTubers who've been horrible about various people.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm going to be on Killer Keemstar or something. Drama
Yeah.
alert.
Or
Oh
Sunny
dear.
V2.
Yes. Sunny V2, that one. Good Lord. Sunny V2 is a channel I've only ever sort of noticed one video from that channel, and it's the most disingenuous video ever. It was why Yogscast failed, and it's like Yogscast have not failed; they are still going incredibly strong. Yeah, sorry. Before I go on off on a bit of a weird rant about disingenuous analysis in YouTube videos. Yeah, we'll put that aside. Indeed. I'm trying to think. Any other kings or queens who we can think of?
I'm really struggling now.
Yeah, I think we've kind of gone through really
I think we've
all
gone
the
through
notable
them.
ones. Yeah.
But you can see, everyone can see just how many we've gone through, and the fact that some of them have been nice, some of them haven't.
Indeed.
But you can't win it all.
Yeah.
You will get some nasty ones.
Yeah. There was even a King Stephen at one point in English history, going back to like the medieval era. I think it was something like the 13th century, who is another one who's not particularly well regarded because basically.
Yeah, I think he was only on the throne for a very limited period of time.
Yeah, he basically presided over a time of civil war when basically a lot of feudal barons and other aristocrats fighting against him.
I wonder who our monarch was when the Black Plague hit.
Oh, who was it? Yeah.
Yeah. That would be an interesting one.
Yeah, I can't remember. Indeed. Well, we'll probably wrap up here then, won't we, Phil?
Yeah, we've gone through our various kings and queens because, like we said, we're going to do. So
Indeed.
There we go. Interesting little chat there.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to that then, ladies and gentlemen. And as usual, social media links and Propagandist channel link are down in the video description for anyone interested. If you enjoyed, a like's always appreciated. But other than that, please don't cancel me for what sounded like me laughing at World War II veterans. That's not what I was doing.
Yeah. Oh, it was giving them flashbacks. Ha 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 ha. Bloody hell, we've got a serial killer on our hands here.
General Red serial killer confirmed. Ooh,
exactly.
Deary me. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, so you're being hunted, guys.
Hey, take this, bitch. Like that? Can I just... is she going to move if I take my eyes off her? Is she a weeping angel? Let's test it. Oh, she is. She is a fucking weeping angel and a half. She is. I hate the way her eyes fall. That's ready. Shut the door. Ah, bitch. Oh, God. Oh, no. Okay. Windows. If you're watching her through a window, that's not counted as direct line of sight then, is it? That's an issue. Alright, well, I've dealt with your type before. Back through? I can. Shit, where was the fucking battery location that I needed to find? I can't actually remember.